today, so let me go and hit the recording now. And I'll be posting the replay to the API management community, which you can find by going to ca.com/talkapis. And I'll also be sending a follow-up email with a link to the replay and the slides that Ron's going to be presenting today. So, and if you have any questions, feel free to pop into the chat window or the Q&A panel to ask, and we'll be happy to address those. But we'll also be opening it up for a group discussion and unmuting lines if you'd like to participate in that. We definitely encourage it. So thanks, Ron, for hosting this today. I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Excellent. Thank you, Kristen. I want to thank everyone who took some time to talk with us today and meet with us today. We definitely appreciate that. And like Kristen said, today we're going to be talking about solving your API challenges and how you can partner with CA to really understand those challenges and create the best solutions to them. And that's the agenda that we're going to go through today. So we'll start off with an introduction of who we are, who our team is, and why we're here. Talk through you and CA partnership, how we can work together to really solve those challenges you face every day. And then as Kristen mentioned, we'll take a little time for group discussion, and we really want to open that up and hear your thoughts, hear about the challenges that you face every day, how the product experiences fit into that, or where they don't align so well into the challenges you're trying to overcome day by day. And then we'll have some time for questions and final thoughts at the end. So introductions, who are we? So we're the CA product team focused on understanding your challenges and working together with you to solve them. And our team is made up of a few different roles. We have obviously Kristen, our excellent community manager, who helps lead and facilitate a lot of our engagement with you through the community site. Product managers for API management, one with us today, Guillermo Tellez. And then UX, user experience designers and researchers. That's where I fit in. My name is Ron Polka. I am a senior user experience designer with CA Technologies and working on API management, and then developers as well. So we kind of have this cross-functional team, product team here at CA, and really focus on working closely with our customers, like I mentioned earlier, understanding the challenges you face every day, understanding the work that you're trying to get done every day. And we use various methods to do that. So one of them is obviously the community site. Great place to post your ideas, some of the feature requests you have, and those definitely are things that help us understand where our solutions may not be meeting your challenges and some of the ideas that you have, where you can get support as well from us. Remote discussion sessions, such as this one. Remote design sessions, another method that we use to work together with you to work on design ideas, how the product could work for you, how it could work better, and collaborating together with you on that. And on-site observation, where we actually come to your site, observe you as you're working, and really get that in-depth understanding of how you work and how our products fit into that. And the whole goal of all of this is just to generate understanding. The best way that we can work for you and create the solutions that are best for you is by really getting this understanding of how you're working every day, the challenges you face, and what our solutions need to do for you. We'll move on to the U and CA partnership. So right now, that team that I was just describing, we have a concerted focus on what we're calling envisioning the future of API management. And this slide is an overview of that project. And, we're actively focused on this area to understand you, how you're working, what your challenges are. We're focused on the entire life cycle. So you can see that represented there, starting with back-end development, also the design of the API, creation of the API, testing and publishing, how the API is socialized, how you generate engagement with the developer communities out there, how the API is consumed, and then analytics and monitoring of the API. So really the whole life cycle, understanding your perspectives on it, your role, where you fit in that life cycle, what your day-to-day challenges are, and where the current solutions may not be entirely meeting your goals and not entirely working for you. We want to understand what those product experiences you have as well are today. And this is really how we can be most successful and help you to be most successful, by working together with you. It's very difficult, obviously, for us without this understanding, without this partnership with you, to really ensure that we're delivering you the best solutions. And one of the outcomes of this project will be, design ideas, design vision of the future product. And that's another opportunity for you as well to collaborate with us, to work through design ideas, to give us feedback on them, to create them together with us, so that when we start developing them and they land, at your doorstep, they're really solving your problems and doing what you're looking for. So, when you think more practically of what this partnership looks like between us, between you and CA Technologies, how do we really understand you? One of the key ways that we can do that is through field visits. So this would be, coming on site, half day, whatever works best for you, to really observe, observe your team members as they work, observe them as they're using the product, understand what they're trying to accomplish. And if they struggle with something, to really understand firsthand what that struggle looks like and what exactly is involved with it. And just understand how work gets done. And then, like I mentioned as well, co-design, working through design ideas together, envisioning the future of product solutions together. Because you're really the expert, in your work practice, in your domain, and the goals that you're trying to achieve every day. And this breaks down the partnership a little more. Like I mentioned, it's very important up front for us to work with you to understand. And for this project on the future of API management, you can see here in the understand this first stage here, we really want to understand all the different team members that get involved throughout the life cycle. So that may be API strategy leaders, architects, maybe back-end developers, API owners, team members doing testing, administrators, people involved with security as well, to really understand their goals and tasks they're working through every day. And then that understanding fuels into the design process. How could solutions be improved? What are new solution ideas? And designing those together with you. And that leads into the outcomes. What comes out of this is where we start this vision that we co-designed together becomes a reality. It is fed into, roadmaps, into the development process, and that's where it gets delivered to you. And again, you'll be a partner there, the ability to give your input and have influence as well. So this is kind of the overview of the partnership that we're looking to develop with you, so that you can be invested in this process, have a voice in the process, to really have the best solutions be delivered to you. And, there's various ways that we can partner with you. Obviously, we can do remote sessions such as this one, one-on-one remote sessions where we talk through things and really get to know you and your goals and everything you're working through every day. Or as I mentioned, we can come on site and observe and work with you as well. So really this partnership, it's meant to be tailored to your needs, what works best for you, to be unobtrusive to the things that you're trying to get done every day. So we wanted to introduce you to this partnership. We view this webinar as the first step in that, to introduce you to our team, the project that we're currently working on around API management and the life cycle, and how we think of developing partnerships with you. So, we hope that that is, exciting to you, that it's something that, that you would really want to partake of, because really that's the way we can be most successful, is just by working closely together. We're going to, shortly after this, we'll have, as I mentioned, time for group discussion. But as a follow-up to this, to kind of unpack what the API lifecycle looks like for you, what your challenges are, how we can best partner with you, as a follow-up to this, you also have the opportunity to do a one-on-one session with us where we can learn more particularly in a focused way about you and your organization. So on the community site, there's a blog post, Envisioning the Future of API Management, and there is a opportunity there to schedule a one-on-one session. You can see highlighted there at the bottom. And as well, the follow-up email to this webinar will have a link as well where you can schedule a session. If you want to talk about this, talk a little bit more about how you think this partnership could work best for you, and how we can work best together. Okay, so that is the introduction to our team and how we're thinking of partnership together with you. And, we'd like to open it up a bit for group discussion. Looks like we have, a pretty good attendance.
So I've opened up all of the lines, so everyone is unmuted. If you want to mute yourself, you can from your phone, obviously, but everyone's lines are unmuted now, so if you'd like to participate in the discussion, you can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kristen. So, one of the first things that we wanted to ask, and I'm not, exactly sure the total number of, customer attendees that we have, but, we'd be curious to know what, who you are and what the representation is. If you're comfortable sharing, what your title is and maybe a little bit about what you hope to get out of this session today.
If for some reason it's noisy around you or you want to participate in the chat window, you can do that as well and provide the information there.
Yeah. Okay, and we can move on a little bit and talk. Like I mentioned, what we're really interested in is understanding your involvement in the API lifecycle and the challenges that you're facing. Maybe we can move on to that. When you think of this API lifecycle as you're going through definition, any changes to the back end, designing, testing, and publishing, all the way through to socializing and monitoring. If anyone wants to share their thoughts on challenges you face, any particular areas of struggle that you think that you face today?
Hi, this is Prashant here.
Hi, Prashant.
Hello. Hi, Ron. Ron, just to introduce me, I'm working for Direct Line Group, and I'm working, to implement service virtualization here, basically. Okay. and as a senior test analyst. So I'm involved in creating virtual services and stubs, and also creating some tests, Lisa tests for any testing purposes. Okay. So what I would like to ask here is, recently because of some remediation activities of the environment, the test environment, so there would be some changes in my application landscape. Okay, so I was thinking of can we create some tests? Okay, API tests. So which basically validates the input. I mean the input that I sent to the application and the output that I receive. In addition to this validation, can we also expand the usage of this API testing to various phases of testing, maybe to OAT environments or UAT environments? Okay, and also to check like to what extent I can actually go there. That's one question that I have. Okay, because these are like these environments, it's like pre-production environments wherein we should ideally not use virtual services. That's recommended. However, like to what extent I can ensure that I'm able to leverage these best practices, the API testing practices over there, and ensure that I'm able to confirm that environment is properly integrated, or and it also I would say in addition to integration, the configuration is also as expected. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you find that the current products you're using are supporting that for you?
Okay. In the current space, I would say that we are only limited to one particular project. Okay, wherein we have implemented this. That is virtualization. And the other projects, we don't have any we are not involved in those other environments or other projects. In the existing scenario, they are actually using the actual environments for their testing. If suppose I need to call a third-party system, okay, so they are actually using a third-party system. So that's how actually they are doing it. So it's the real environment that they are using. Okay, and in addition to that, to test anything, they need to have those physical environments available. Only after that they can initiate their testing of the services, web services as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the current scenario. The current scenario is completely dependent upon existence of those physical environments for testing purpose.
Okay. And you're involved in leading those testing activities?
Yes, that's right, Ron. So I'm involved in testing all these interfaces. Okay, so basically I'm involved in virtualization, so I basically stub out those unavailable environments. But also as a best practice, I feel that maybe we can create API tests to validate that the configuration or the integration of with databases or any third-party systems. Okay, so these are all integrated and working as expected or properly. So that's what I'm trying to implement. So I would like to understand. Can I suggest this API testing scenarios or API testing in environments like UAT or OAT, such environments?
Yeah, and might throw this over a little bit to Guillermo. Guillermo, I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Prashant. I think the best would be to maybe schedule a call that we can discuss this in more detail. I don't know if you would have some time this or next week. We would love to talk to you, just so we can keep the conversation going around the life cycle. Certainly. Of yeah. Okay.
Certainly. Yeah, sure. So recently, like today itself, we had Rick Brown and Craig coming over here, and we spoke to them as well on this part. So okay. Definitely, whenever required, we can have a discussion around this. So we are we are having some workshops on this with the client. Okay. So once it would be closed sometime this week. So once these workshops are over, so we can definitely have a call and discuss in detail about all this. Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if we email you after the webinar to set up a meeting?
Yeah, sure, we can. Yeah, anytime.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for the questions.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So what about others? Anyone else have any other challenges that come to mind, whether it's in kind of testing flow Prashant was talking about, maybe other parts of the life cycle you find challenging?
I think Ryan was trying to join. Ryan, are you there?
Okay. We can move to a little more focused questions as well. This is, Prashant had just touched on this as well as far as testing. This was an area that, we're definitely looking at, throughout the life cycle. We've heard some feedback as far as, the API design aspect. Maybe it would be helpful if we had, a tool to help more with designing the API definition file, easier working with creating the API and actually, getting it into the portal in a more seamless fashion. Those are some things that we have been looking at and thinking through of how you can make this experience a little better. So we'd be curious if anyone else has any.
I see Ryan was entering his struggle in the Q&A. I don't know if you're able to see it, Ron, but he said that he's from Alaska Airlines, and he said one struggle is that some of our teams are so agile they don't have the time or bandwidth to learn the tool.
Okay, they're moving very fast. Okay, yeah, that's definitely.
I'm sorry. Is it just hard for people to get on the audio to ask the question, because it sounds like a very interesting one to explore a little bit. And I'm not sure if Ryan is unable to actually connect.
He said the audio is not working for him.
Oh, okay.
And he said installation is going slow.
Okay. Well, while we're working through that, I guess one comment that comes to my mind, part of our efforts of, bringing design into, this API management space as we move forward, it's definitely something that we're very conscious of. How do you make the solution, very intuitive, easier to learn, adding things like in-context walkthroughs, where things are sort of explained, on a particular page you're on or a particular task you're trying to do with with the product. To try to reduce some of the complexity and just really learn as you go, and cut down some of that time of trying to learn the tool and any of the particulars of the tool itself. So definitely something we're very conscious of as we, are working through design ideas and on this project in particular. But I could definitely understand that challenge for sure.
Ron, this relates to a point, I guess, just about how we engage together. Yeah, a lot of times the engagement with CA and our customers relates to a lot around the tools. So, getting to the end user of that, like the developers themselves and the development teams, and as Ron was talking earlier about, being on site, seeing how they consume and work through this life cycle and so on, will really help us a lot, to address some of these problems.
Right, definitely. And it, obviously, to that point, Mike, I mean, it helps to, you know, to see, you know, in context where these struggles happen, you know, to actually watch a team member trying to use a product and, you know, actually experience firsthand the struggles they're facing and how hard it is to learn how to get something done. It really helps us understand what those problems are so we can simplify it.
It looks like Ryan may have been able to join the audio. Let's see. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yay, yeah.
Great.
Hi, Ryan.
Well, yeah, so one of our challenges has been when engaging with some other teams, they typically don't have the bandwidth or potentially the background knowledge to virtualize some of their services. Now, I mean, this isn't all teams, but you know, there's a few pockets here and there where we reach out to them, show them the benefit. They say, yes, we want to do that. We walk them through, you know, kind of doing the first one on, you know, training wheels with them. Then after that, sometimes they're able to keep sustaining, or other times they lose interest in supporting as they're going through rapid, since they're so agile, they're going through rapid schema changes, and like, oh, every time I do this, I got to redo it. Or the other challenge is they're like, well, we are so agile, we don't even have like a QA resource. The product team kind of owns the quality of, or the whole team owns the quality of the product. And so for us, I think it's more about education and then also just inter-agile, like how do we get the agile team to adopt investing into this technology.
Sure. So do you think that, you know, complexity of products, or that the solutions sort of don't integrate well seamlessly into their, you know, their agile workday? You know,
well, one piece definitively, so I guess each potential team can have their own challenge. One is that team doesn't want to change their endpoints, because as soon as you do virtualization, you're going to have to point to a proxied endpoint or an alternative virtual endpoint. So some teams are like, no, this is how our stuff works, we don't want to mess with it. So it's like they want the benefit but don't want to go through the effort to reconfigure their application to be virtual. That's one challenge. I guess that's like just general stubbornness. The other one is the time. So we'll reach out to, like, so here's an A/B test we had with one team. We had one guy, got him set up, got him trained. He was totally functional, and then he left, and then now it's relegated to his, you know, replacement, who doesn't quite have the experience he had. So it's kind of tailored to who has the potential skill set. It's not just like everybody can do this. And so with that other individual, they've got a lot of testing experience, so they don't have a whole lot of like back-end web service understanding experience, or even if they do, it doesn't extend to how to virtualize or maintain the schema changes or adding new scenarios as they come across them. And then, so that's two. There's a success case, a challenge case, and then I guess a failure case is that they just say, no, we don't have, yeah, we see what you have to offer, but we want product out. This is agile, we're totally focused on getting the product out, and we're just going to, like, our developer time would rather have them be developing the solution that's going to go out instead of having a virtual solution to test or play on internally with.
Right.
That's kind of a full spectrum of different things we've seen.
Okay. Are you using the portal or any particular product?
We're actually using a competitor's product, but outside of that, I think it's the same no matter which tool we would have. I don't think it's a technology problem. It's like a people management / or how they, with Agile, I mean, I don't think it would matter whatever tool we put in. So whatever tool kind of solves those, I mean, those really aren't the tool problems, more of, you know, management/training experience are, I think, primarily the challenges that we see so far. And so one thing that I hear that you guys are talking about, which is good, is about your engagement with particular, you know, you guys get it, you see the challenge of that you partner with your client and work through those challenges. So I was like wondering if you can comment to how you've like maybe addressed those challenges with working with other partners or clients.
Sure. I mean, I think definitely one of the things that we do is to observe the team, right? So what does the team workflow look like? What are the different levels of experience that might be involved? What are bottlenecks that happen today? So I think a big part of it is being able to actually, you know, get on site, observe these dynamics in their natural habitat, so to speak, in their context where they happen, and really get that picture, because the product solution may be able to address that. It may be able to integrate better where those dynamics exist, you know, where those pain points are, where there's struggle between team members. If, you know, as you mentioned, you know, the developers in the Agile environment, like you mentioned, you know, it's very focused on, you know, developing code and delivering it. So, you know, just understanding that, understanding the teams with that on-site, you know, observation and understanding those dynamics. And we can bring that back, you know, to the solutions to make sure that they are fitting into those team dynamics and how they're working. So, you know, I think that's.
And I'll add, Ryan, just so you understand, for this project, we've been maybe like 2 months into it in terms of the API management domain, and just beginning to open it up with the customers. So so solutions to problems specific to this domain is something that'll unfold over the next couple months. But we've done this in other areas for CA, where we've been able to, you know, have some, what I think are some pretty cool breakthroughs that came out of this that were, you know, much more human-centered in their design. And we could, you know, if you wanted to hear more about those, we could do that at some point. But we're at that kind of ramp-up stage here, and looking for those great partner customers to dig into what Ron was just talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Currently, bandwidth-wise, I've been limited, but I've been working with Eric Wedham, and so we've been kind of in email exchange back and forth, slowly getting to the point where we would want to do a workshop to kind of revisit, you know, with, you know, our internal customers to see the capabilities and the benefits. So we're not there yet, but we're in progress. We're in communication. But I just wanted to bring those up because those are some typical challenges that we've faced that I think are universal.
They probably are very, very universal, and you know, let us know. I mean, you know, not every client can absorb, let's say, like a larger engagement. If we can add value to, let's say, like you're thinking of a workshop, which is probably more tailored around the capabilities of the product. But if we you know, join that workshop, so we could spend some time talking to developers and API owners and different people throughout this life cycle, that'd be great. Or if you know, if there's just some key people you think could illuminate the problem you were just talking about, we could jump on the phone with them and get a little more insight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, great. Anyone else? Any other particular challenges that are facing you every day in API management? Anything else come to mind? Okay. You know, and these are just some other areas, you know, that we've been focused on. So definitely analytics and monitoring of APIs. I don't know if we have anyone who's involved in those activities with us today. Any API owners or anything like that. Definitely an area we're looking to understand as well, and what sorts of trends or situations that, you know, are important to you, kind of key indicators that you want to understand better. That's also an area of focus for us. This question is more of a, you know, portal-specific question. We have any portal customers with us today, but you know, we're interested to understand how much control customization is desired, and what that would look like for you. Just another area of focus.
Are you guys diving into any demos today regarding the API management?
We are not. It's definitely, you know, as we move forward, I think we'll have more opportunities for that.
Okay.
Did you mean of the current products, or?
Well, specifically, we're actually already a customer for the API management. In my role, I don't use it. I just use it to go to the service, test it directly. So I'm not I don't own a service. All I do is maybe have some tests that hit against it, but the team that admins the portal, I mean, they handle all the policy and whatnot. But just wondering, because there's the new features you guys have with essentially creating virtual services right off the portal that are pretty intriguing.
Sure, and you know, I think as we progress with this project, we'll definitely have opportunities to talk through, you know, design ideas, feature design ideas, kind of create some of those together. So, you know, if any of your team members or yourself would be interested in those, we can, you know, definitely make sure to reach out to you when we have them, because we, you know, we'll definitely be looking for participants for those.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to probably do as our workshop when we get to it, is that exact scenario. I was going to see if I can see a sneak peek.
Right, sure, yeah. Yeah, and that's really important to us to get you involved, to get all of our customers involved, you know, early on in the design process, even when we're thinking for ideas. You know, you know, here's kind of how we're thinking about improving this area. Here's how we're thinking about making, you know, testing better. You know, Prashant's scenario is great, you know, and that's a great situation to, you know, to get together and really think through this and what could this design look like, and give you guys that chance, you know, very early on to help shape what that looks like. So we'll definitely have those opportunities for sure.
Great, thanks.
Sure, you're welcome. In this slide I have up here, you know, another question that that we've been throwing around is, you know, if customers do, I don't know if we have any customers on the line that have multiple API management products, you know, what does that look like together? What does that experience, you know, look like? Could it be more integrated? You know, are there things that we could do with the products together that would make the experience more seamless? So that's, you know, an area that we're looking at as well. Okay. These are some other, other questions. Anything that works well in the life cycle that you think, wow, this is, for me today, this is, this works really well in the products that I use. If anyone has any thoughts on that, that's good to hear as well. If something's working well, then, we probably don't want to spend a whole lot of time reinventing that wheel and focus on other areas that are more challenging for you. So Ryan, maybe in your scenario, you're talking about an agile environment. Do you think there's things that for managing APIs that kind of fit well in those contexts?
I don't. I'm not actually a part of the Agile team. I do know just from conversation with for us, actually in more communication with the portal management folks, because they're who I go to get to these services per se, and it's really just the dev team essentially making what sits behind the gateway. So since I'm not embedded with those teams, my only role comes into play is in our few outreach where we've gone out to those particular teams that make APIs that sit behind the portal. We've just, we've virtualized them typically for them or worked with them to show them how to do it, and they've been able to maintain and do that for themselves. But outside of anything that's portal specific, I don't have, sorry, anything that's portal specific, I don't have any good, bad, or indifferent on.
Sure. Yep. That's understandable. Okay. So maybe, changing gears a little bit, I mean, from the standpoint of, partnering with CA Technologies, do you have any, thoughts on that as far as what I described sort of earlier on in the presentation as far as, working closely together, whether that's remote or on-site? Any impressions on that, or any thoughts on what you think areas that you would want to be involved, whether that's, talking through designs, things like that?
Well, from my perspective of being in the realm for the last few years is I've been typically tasked and assigned to large projects where it's like the entire ecosystem for that particular product. But there's other teams outside of that that have their own ecosystems that are already in Agile states, and so those are the ones I actually have the harder. I won't say it's hard. It's just specific because I'm just one person. I'm usually tasked with quote the large project. But then when going to the smaller teams, I don't have the bandwidth to essentially absorb what they have going on. But one thing that I guess my dream is for that engagement is because we have a mobile competency center where we actually have essentially an entire dev team that specialize in all the bells and whistles for developing mobile apps on each platform and doing APIs and management. Is partnering up with them, because I mean they've attended a few of our demos, but it's not part of their quote that they're all about development. We want to put things out. I think they always see virtualization as a crutch, and they would rather, again, have the developer fix the bug and move on than invest in trying to work off of virtual services. So I think trying to change their perspective and get them to invest into this would help, I would believe, bolster their capabilities, essentially having when they spin up, a new product. They actually don't spin up, but they actually, they collaborate with other product teams that are building new apps, but they could just point them to the virtual services and let them, work off of a proven functional component. And then also because I consider this as winning a lot of little battles, but it's like moving it up a layer, but hopefully, make winning those battles go smoother.
Sure, right. Okay.
Ron, yeah, I'd also like to know how different is the API management with respect to service virtualization? Are they both like kind of same principles or same concepts, or is it that virtualization is basically towards virtualizing the backend systems, and API management is towards simulating messages, simulating transactions to my application and the test? Okay, so how different are both these two, virtualization and API management? I mean, I'm quite confused in this.
Well, I'm not as much of an expert in that area. Guillermo, I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, I wouldn't have the answer right at the top of my head. Were you referring to Ryan's question on his comment about virtualization, or were you wondering more to get this done with a portal?
Yeah, my question was because, as Ryan said, like towards virtualization, he virtualized the applications. Okay, so I was slightly confused as to this API management is completely towards service virtualization. That the API management means we actually virtualize the backend systems, and we maintain those virtual services, and we test them in the test environments. Okay, is it API management refers to the same principle, or is it that API management is basically creating tests to simulate transactions to my application and the test?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it all depends how you set it up. I might have to ask Ryan maybe if he can share a little bit on how they have them set up, and that might be able to answer your question. Ryan, don't want to put you on the spot on answering something you can't, but do you have a way to enlighten us here with how you guys set it up? Because I think virtualization is separate. You're just giving access through keys on who can access that backend, right?
Yeah, so we have, when you were using a competitor product, I know you guys have a lot of the same functionality, and actually you guys have some more integrated functionality, which is what we're looking at, is the technique we use currently is they have essentially a tool, it's like Environment Manager, which has a proxy endpoint, which is just like your API management front end, that we dynamically map that proxied endpoint that's exposed, let's say, to the public or just internally. Then on the back end, we have that mapped to either the real API or mapped to a virtual one, and we can provision or and flip through those different configurations. I know right now that in the latest versions of your guys' API, I don't know, maybe it used to be called Layer 7. I don't know what the current name is, but just call it the API management solution. You guys added the ability to programmatically via an API call provision the API management tool. So that would be the nearest method that you would have to do that, which we haven't done that here yet. We're just kind of doing it behind the scenes, using it one layer deeper. What we're doing is we're having, we'll create a virtual service that's listening on a proxied endpoint. Then we go and have our portal team, our API management team, point to our new virtual endpoint. So it's almost like having two gateways chained together. And we provision it on the one behind the scenes, because that one, we have the control that's closer to what they're interacting with from the management perspective. We can provision different users to say they can monitor, these users can provision, but all that same functionality is also going to exist up at the portal layer. It's just that team is like, no, we want to deal with just the production stuff. We don't mind pointing to you, and then let the, mind you, service virtualization should only be for test environments, not production. So we isolated one layer further away, but using the CA solution, you would probably be completely inside of the API portal area. And I haven't seen that, I just know that this technology exists, and it's really cool. So I would remember you guys with that new, what it's called, but it's essentially allows you to fire an API call to re-provision an endpoint on the gateway to point to a new endpoint behind the scenes. So the newer versions have that.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. That provides a little more context to maybe the question that was asked. Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Did that answer your question? Was that Prashant?
Yeah, that does answer the question, and that does clear the confusion that I was having. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, great. Any other thoughts here as we start to wind down? Anything else comes to mind? Okay. So this was great. We appreciate you guys, Prashant and Ryan, for sharing your thoughts. We'll reach out to you with follow-up. So like I said, this partnership is really important for us and for you, to really understand you so we can really, design solutions that are going to meet your needs. So Kristen will be sending out a follow-up email to this webinar. And in that follow-up email, we will have a link. You can set up a one-on-one session with us. And that'll give us a chance to just really unpack, your challenges, how you're working. Prashant, I know you had, your testing scenario that you wanted to talk through. We can definitely talk through that in more detail. Ryan, you had some challenges and thoughts as well. So, we can definitely, set up some individual sessions to really unpack those things together and understand the best way that we can partner with you. So look for that in Kristen's follow-up email. And it's also on the blog. If you go to the community site, there's an Envisioning the Future of API Management blog post, and there's the link there as well to set up a one-on-one engagement. And that'll give us the opportunity to kind of start to form the partnership with you, understand what will work best. Ryan, we were talking about, those sort of design sessions. That'll give us the ability to work with you on those when those opportunities present themselves, and to make sure that that you're involved with that. So look for that. And any other closing thoughts or questions as we wind down?
None here.
No.
All right, thanks, guys. Like he said, I'm going to send a follow-up to you guys, so keep an eye out from an email from me, probably sometime later today.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, thank you, Ron and Guillermo.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.